Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishwapada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Abhayacharnaranda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishwapada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. नामाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की। ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की, मायापुर नवदीप धाम की, पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, अयोध्या मथुरा धाम की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So today is Shayana Ekadashi. So we welcome all these devotees on the eve of Shayana Ekadashi. And today also is the appearance day of His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj. So I am requesting all the devotees, so let us all pray and beg at the lotus feet of His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj so that he can shower his blessings on all of us. So for us to continue and progress on the path of Krishna consciousness, His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we welcome all the devotees for this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we are reading from the first canto, 13th chapter, verse number 32. So you can all open your Gita base apps if you have Gita base apps with you. Hare Krishna. Tatra Sanjaya Masinam Prapanchodvigna Manasa Gavalagne Kvanatato Vriddhahinascha Netrayo Tatra Sanjaya Masinam Prapanchodvigna Manasa Gavalagne Kvanastato Vriddhahinascha Netrayo Tatra Sanjaya Masinam Prapanchodvigna Manasa Gavalagne Kvanastato Vriddhahinascha Netrayo Tatra Sanjaya Masinam Prapanchodvigna Manasa Gavalagne Kvanastato Vriddhahinascha Netrayo तत्र संजयमासीनं प्रपंचोद्विग्नमानसः प्रवाराग्नेक्वानस्ततो वृद्धो हीनस्य नेत्रयो तत्र संजयासीनं प्रपंचोद्विग्नमानसः प्रवाराग्नेक्वानस्ततो वृद्धहीनस्य नेत्रयो तत्र संजयमासीनं प्रपंचोद्विग्नमानसः वृद्धो हीनस्य नेत्रयो तत्र संजयमासीनं प्रपंचोद्विग्नमानसः गावालाग्नेक्वानस्ततो वृद्धो हीनस्य नेत्रयो तत्र संजयमासीनं प्रपंचोद्विग्नमानसः गवालाग्नेक्वानस्ततो वृद्धो हीनस्य नेत्रयो तत्र संजयमासीनं प्रपंचोद्विग्नमानसः गावालाग्नेक्वानस्ततो वृद्धो हीनस्य नेत्रयो तत्र संजयमासीनं पप्रचोद्विग्नमानसः गवालाग्नेक्वानस्ततो वृद्धो हीनस्य नेत्रयो तत्र संजयमासीनं प्रापचोद्विग्नमानसः गावालाग्नेक्वानस्ततो वृद्धो हीनस्य नेत्रयो तत्र संजयमासीनं प्रपंचोद्विग्नमानसः गावालाग्नेक्वानस्ततो वृद्धो हीनस्य नेत्रयो तत्र संजयमासीनं प्रपंचोद्विग्नमानसः गावालाग्नेक्वानस्तो वृद्धो हीनस्य नेत्रयो तत्र संजयमासीनं प्रपंचोद्विग्नमानसः गावालाग्नेक्वानस्ततो वृद्धो हीनस्य नेत्रयो तत्र संजयमासीनं प्रपंचोद्विग्नमानसः गावालाग्नेक्वानस्ततो वृद्धो हीनस्य नेत्रयो तत्र there Sanjayam unto Sanjaya Asinam seated Papracha he inquired from Udvigna Manasa filled with anxiety Gavalagne the son of Gavalagna Sanjaya Kva where na our tata uncle vriddaha old hinaha cha and bereft of netrayo the eyes. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Channaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Jai Shri Ram. Maharaja Yudhishthira, full of anxiety, turned to Sanjaya, who was sitting there, and said, "O Sanjaya, where is our uncle?" who is old and blind. So there is only small translation, there is no purport. So therefore, we will be reading from the purport also of the next verse. Okay. So translation and purport of the next verse. Where is my well-wisher, Uncle Vidura and Mother Gandhari, who is very afflicted due to all her sons' demise? My uncle Dhritarashtra was also very mortified due to the death of all his sons and grandsons. Undoubtedly, I am very ungrateful. Did he therefore take my offence very seriously and along with his wife drown himself in the Ganges? Purport. The Pandavas, especially Maharaja Yudhishthira and Arjuna, anticipated the after effects of the battle of Kurukshetra, and therefore Arjuna declined to execute the fighting. The fight was executed by the will of the Lord, but the effect of the family agreement, as they had thought of it before, had come to be true. Maharaja Yudhishthira was always conscious of the great plight of his uncle Dhritarashtra and aunt Gandhari, and therefore he took all possible care of them in their old age and aggrieved condition. When therefore he could not find his uncle and aunt in the palace, naturally his doubts arose, and he conjectured that had gone down to the water of Ganges. He thought himself ungrateful because when the Pandavas were fatherless, Maharaja Dhritarashtra had given them all royal facilities to live, and in return he had killed all Dhritarashtra's sons in the battle of Kurukshetra. As a pious man, Maharaja Yudhishthira took into account all his unavoidable misdeeds, and he never thought of the misdeeds of his uncle and company. Dhritarashtra had suffered the effects of his own misdeeds by the will of the Lord, but Maharaja Yudhishthira was thinking only of his own unavoidable misdeeds. That is the nature of a good man and a devotee of the Lord. A devotee never finds fault with others, but tries to find his own and thus rectify them as far as possible. Hare Krishna. Mukham karoti vachalam padulam jayate girim tripat aham vande shri gurum dinatarinam paramanandam Om Jnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurambalitam Mena Tasmat Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swarupakanamaham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavansya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saguna Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Maharaja Yudhishthira, full of anxiety, turned to Sanjaya, who was sitting there, and said, "O Sanjaya, where is our uncle who is old and blind?" Hare Krishna. So as we all know, so we are reading from the first canto, 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the chapter is titled Dhritarashtra Quits Home. So here is a situation where Dhritarashtra has left home by the mercy of a great devotee like Vidura. So all of us have to be awakened unto this consciousness. Uttishtata Jagrata. So everyone has to be awakened to this great consciousness. What is this Uttishtata Jagrata? So we have to be conscious of our relationship with the Lord. So often at times we forget our constitutional position, and we often forget our relationship with Krishna, so which is the source of all trouble in this world. So here, so Yudhishthira Maharaj is very, very anxious because who has left home now? Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, along with Mother Kunti and Vidura, they have all left for good, not to come back again. So in the material world also, So the Varnashrama is divided in such a way that 25 years of our age is meant for Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya life is meant for education and training. And Grihastha Ashrama is a small license awarded to the Grihasthas where they take shelter of the Lord along with their companions, spouses. So, and we have the Vanaprastha Ashrama where you prepare to leave home. And finally, in Sannyasa, you quit home. So, leaving home is very, very important. So, how many, because we have to leave this material world anyway. But without training, we cannot do this. So, there is no question of old age homes. So, in Vedic system, there is no old age home. So, they would all go to Vanaprastha, Vanaprasthan, they would enter the forest. Why they would enter the forest? To perform penances, austerities, and also tapasya meant for devotional service to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. So all these things are important. So because the Jnanis enter the forest to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga, then finally they come to the stage of performing Jnana Yoga and finally attain the Brahman. Then the Paramatma Vadis also attain the Paramatma. They are all yogis who meditate on the Lord within the heart. And the devotees, what they do? They meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord, perform devotional service and go back to Krishna. So here, Dhritarashtra has quit home and Yudhishthira Maharaj is feeling very anxious. So was Yudhishthira Maharaj happy? Anyway, these old people were useless at home, I had to take care of them. So now I am at least relieved. So no more serving Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Was he feeling like that or how was he feeling? So he's feeling so anxious. He's feeling so anxious. So this is the mood of a devotee. So he is not feeling that they are a burden. He is, how is he feeling? So in our situation, we would have felt like that. So anyway, the old person, he is fit for nothing, let him die. So how was he feeling? Why was he feeling like that? So why was Yudhishthira Maharaj? This is where we have to really contemplate the mood of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Why was he feeling like that? So though Dhritarashtra had performed all kinds of atrocities on the Pandavas, made sure he also hatched plans, he also made conspiracies to kill them. But still, why Yudhishthira Maharaj is feeling like that? Why is he feeling anxious? Yudhishthira Maharaj is feeling anxious for them.
Because he is considering him as a father.
So because he is accepting them, he is taking it as an opportunity to serve them. See, when we take it as an opportunity to serve, so then there is no anxiety. So there is only love. So he took it as an opportunity to serve these great souls. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is one person who has no enemies. He is called as Ajata Shatru. Ajata Shatru means it is not that he does not have enemies. If he does not have enemies, why did he wage the war? So it is not that as a matter of duty he has waged the war. But in the true sense of the term, he has no enemies. Because he never took anybody as his enemy. So this is the mood of a devotee. We should also follow in the footsteps of these great Mahajanas and follow this mood. So there is no enemies. So all the enemies or the so-called friend or the so-called enemies of this material world are all the conception of the mind. So in the mind we feel like this. So he is my friend, he is my enemy. So all this conception of friend and enemy, the dualities of this material world. So the heat and cold, the honor and dishonor, pain and pleasure, man and woman, all these dualities of this material world are the result of the concoctions of the mind. So this is the cause of our existence in this material world. So when Prahlad Maharaj was taught by Shanda and Amarka that the demigods are our enemies and the demons are our friends, how did Prahlad Maharaj accept? He did not like the idea of someone being a friend or someone being an enemy. He never had this idea of friend and enemy. he was not bothered by the dualities of this material world. So he was always thinking everybody as a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. How should we consider everybody? As part and parcel of Krishna. So when we see everybody as part and parcel of Krishna, then there is no question of friend and enemy. So everybody becomes our friend. Everybody is we become the well-wisher of everybody. So what was the prayer of Parikshit Maharaj? When he heard the news that he is going to die in 7 days, what was the prayer made by Parikshit Maharaj? Punascha bhuyam bhagavati anante ratir prasangat tadashrayeshu mahatsuyamya mupayami srishti maitriyastu sarvatra namodvijebhya. What is this prayer? Punascha bhuyam bhagavati anante. Yeah. Punashubhuyam Bhagavati Anante Ratir Prasanga Tadashetu. My Lord, if at all I take another birth in this material world, so he is taking the blessings of all the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. Please bless me. Please bless me so that when I take my next birth, so I develop unflinching loving devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, and let me have a loving relationship with all the devotees. What should we have? We should have a loving relationship with all the devotees. So let me have an unflinching devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Maitriyastu Sarvatra Namod Vijayabhya. So he's praying to the Brahmanas that let me be the friend of all the living entities. So let me have unflinching devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this should be our prayer. This should be our everyday prayer. So many devotees say that just like Parikshit Maharaj prayed, we should pray every day. Punashu bhuyat bhagavati anante ratit prasangat tadashrayeshu punashu mahatsuyamyam upayami srishtim maitriyastu sarvatra namodvijayabhya. So let me be the friend of all the devotees. Let me be the friend of all the living entities. So this should be the prayer. So here Yudhishthira Maharaj, we can see the mood of Yudhishthira Maharaj, that he is not considering the mistakes done by Dhritarashtra. He is not counting on the mistakes. See how he tortured us, how he troubled us, how he hatched conspiracy to kill us. He is not thinking any of the faults of Dhritarashtra, but he is meditating only on his good qualities. So when we were fatherless, what did he do? He gave us shelter. He gave us education in Gurukula. So he made us get educated. But what did I do for them? I killed all their sons in the war. So was this the mistake of Yudhishthira Maharaj? Did Yudhishthira Maharaj make a plan? Surely I should vanquish all the Kauravas from the face of the earth. Was this his plan? So how do we know this? Because they made all the attempts for a compromise. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna himself went to make a compromise. But were the Kauravas willing to make a compromise? Even for 5 villages, they were not willing to make a compromise. They had the unrivaled kingdom on the face of the earth. But did they make a compromise? Did they settle for 5 villages? So this is what happens when greed overcomes us. When envy overcomes us, we will not have the consciousness, Vivechana Buddhi and Viveka Shakti. We will not have this Vivechana Buddhi. So this power of discrimination is lost. When somebody is afflicted by these 3 eternal enemies, what are the 3 eternal enemies of the soul?
Mind, intentions, thoughts.
Lust, anger and greed. Lust, anger and greed are the gateways to hell. So when a person is covered by this, he loses his Vivechana Buddhi. So how can one develop Vivechana Buddhi and Viveka Shakti? So by reading scriptures, Shastra, when we take shelter of the scriptures, we develop this Viveka Buddhi. We develop the sense of discrimination as to what is right and what is wrong, what is Shreyas and what is Preyas. So when you want to understand what is your Shreyas, So then you have to take the shelter of the scriptures. So here, Yudhishthira Maharaj had this consciousness as to what is beneficial, what is Shreyas, what is Preyas. Shreyas is a person looks for his eternal benefit. So when a person looks for his eternal benefit, when he is thinking about his eternal benefit, then it is called as Shreyas. When we think about our immediate benefit, so what gives us immediate pleasure, immediate benefit? So then we are Preyas, we are following the path of sense gratification. So therefore one has to know what is Shreyas and what is Preyas. Here Dhritarashtra and company, they were always thinking about Preyas. So what is my immediate benefit? They are not thinking in terms of their eternal benefit of the soul. So that's the reason he is saying, Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying that, where is my uncle who is old and blind? So we are also becoming old, and we are also blind. So here they are not talking about Dhritarashtra, they are talking actually about us. Where is my uncle who is old and blind? What are we blind to? When we are all blind to spiritual realization, then we are all considered blind, because we don't have the drishti. So tadviddi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshyanti te jnaninam tattva darshinaha. So we don't have the darshana. So we are all blind. So when we don't have the darshan to see the defects of birth, death, old age and disease, and also we are not able to see the reality of the eternity of life. So we are all thinking in terms of this body. So Dhritarashtra is also thinking in terms of body. What is the meaning of Dhritarashtra? Dhritarashtra means one who is attached to the Rashtra, who was always Rashtra conscious. So that's the reason he was very determined. By any means I will hold this Rashtra. That's the reason he was Dhritarashtra. So we are also holding on to our own Rashtras, our own houses, our own property, our own kinsmen, our own bank balance. We are all holding to all this. We are also Dhritarashtra. So we are also holding to all this. We are all holding to our egos, our consumptions, our relationships, our mentalities. So we don't want to change. Just like Dhritarashtra had all the good advice. He had the company of Vidura, he had the company of Bhishma, but he was not willing to change. So we are also determined not to change in this material world. So because we should all strongly think in terms of what is our eternal welfare. We are all meant to change here. This material world is an opportunity for us to change our mentalities, our consumptions, our ideas, our thoughts. So all these ideas and thoughts and our consumptions, all these things needs to be transformed. So this is an opportunity. So Krishna is giving us this opportunity in this material world, when we have this human form of life, to change our consumptions, to change our mentality, to change our attitude towards the Lord, attitude towards the scriptures, attitude towards the devotees, attitude towards other living entities, attitude towards the fellow living beings. So all these things are an opportunity. When we are awarded this human form of life, so we are given an opportunity to transform ourselves. If we don't take this opportunity to transform ourselves, the material nature will not leave us unless we transform. So you keep transmigrating. If you don't transform, what we do? We transmigrate. We transmigrate from one species of life to another species of life. So and we have to transmigrate into 8,400,000 species of life if we don't utilize this opportunity to transform. Okay? So should we take this seriously or not? Or we have to hold on to our rastras. Here the holding on means the holding on to all our consumptions also. So our conception should change. How our conceptions will change, how our mentalities will change? By taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, by associating with the Lord. So associating with, I think recently one message was posted. Even if you read one shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, you are associating with the absolute truth. This was a statement by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj. So even if we associate with one shloka, if we read one shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, we are associating with the absolute truth. So the real transformation will happen when we hold on to Srimad Bhagavatam, when we hold on to the scriptures. So all our misconceptions will change. Without changing these misconceptions, we can never transform ourselves. So, and we have to keep transmigrating from one body to another. So somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, what did they ask Srila Prabhupada? Why are you traveling so frequently? Prabhupada traveled, in 11 years he traveled all over the world 14 times. So Srila Prabhupada, why are you traveling so frequently? Is the question posed to Srila Prabhupada. Then what did Srila Prabhupada answer?
Stop your traveling.
I want to stop your traveling in the 84 million species of life. I want to stop your traveling in the 8,400,000 species of life. That's the reason I'm traveling frequently. So imagine, so if Srila Prabhupada was not there with us, what would have been our situation? So here is an opportunity, which is awarded to all of us for us to transform. So therefore, even when devotees associate, so we have to really question ourselves, are we really associating with devotees? Are we really taking association? What is the meaning of association actually? The meaning of association is three things should happen. There should be spiritual discussion, knowledge transmission and transformation of the heart. If that is not happening, then we are not really associating. So a fly may also sit on the thigh of a king. So this king is sitting on the throne and the fly is sitting on the lap of the king. So is the fly associating with the king? Fly is associating with the king. So traveling in the same boat and bathing in the same ghat does not become association. Bhaktivinoda Thakur often quotes this. Traveling in the same boat, and we may all be living in the same family. So are we associating with each other? Traveling in the same boat and bathing in the same ghat does not mean association. So all these three things should happen. There should be spiritual discussion, knowledge transmission and transformation of the heart. So this is what is required. So unless we do this Krishna Katha amongst devotees, our hearts will not transform. So this human form of life is meant for discussing Krishna Katha. So meant for associating with devotees of the Lord, meant for transforming the hearts. So give up our conceptions. So become humble. So if we have to look for actually the change of heart, then we should also take the path of humility. If we don't take the path of humility, then we will not. The first process of humility is admitting our faults. So then contemplating on it and looking for transformation. If we don't admit our faults, if we don't look for contemplating and transforming the faults, then we will not change. So therefore, this association should give you all this. If the association does not give you an opportunity to do all this, then it is not real association. So a real association is meant for actually contemplating. So therefore, we can see in the life of Yudhishthira Maharaj, what is he saying? He is always seeing good in others, and he is contemplating on his own mistakes. So this is what we should learn from the life of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is setting an example for all of us. So though it was not his mistake, it was an unavoidable mistake. Prabhupada is writing in the purport. It was an unavoidable mistake on the part of Yudhishthira Maharaj. But what happened? Even though it was an unavoidable mistake, he is taking the responsibility. Are we willing to take responsibility for our mistake, or are we willing to pass the buck? So it was not my fault, it was his fault. How many times do we do this? It was not my mistake. So it was not my mistake. So it was actually the mistake of the other person. It was the mistake of the situation. It was the mistake of the circumstance. So it was actually not my mistake. So therefore, unless we take responsibility, so there is no question of transformation of the heart. So whether we are coming to the program or whether we are, so how many times actually, how many times we really try to correct ourselves. So especially when we have, say we all know that we have to come to program on time. So how many of us really contemplate and try to come on time? Say anyway, now I am half an hour late, let me come a little early. So I am 1 hour late, let me make it half an hour. If I am 1 hour 30 minutes late, let me make it 1 hour. Then if I am late by 1 hour, let me make it 30 minutes. So we have to really contemplate and work on all these things. So there may be unavoidable situation and circumstances. We are not talking about the unavoidable situation. But we should contemplate, we should transform. So all these things will help you transform. So and stop your transmigration. So do we really want to stop this transmigration? So then we should take responsibility. So just like Yudhishthira Maharaj is taking responsibility for his unavoidable mistakes, we should also take responsibility. So am I able to chant 16 rounds a day, or am I giving some excuse? Am I reading scriptures, or am I giving some excuse? Or am I planning to hear, or am I giving some excuse? So all these things should be contemplated. We have to meditate. So am I really doing all these things? Which is my daily routine to become Krishna conscious. We have to chant our 16 rounds, we have to read Srila Prabhupada's books, we have to hear the Vani of Srila Prabhupada or the other senior devotees. So am I really doing this, or am I giving excuses? So we have to do a little bit of contemplation. So this is called as Manana Nididhyasana. If we don't do this contemplation, then we cannot actually look for transformation. So most of the time we try to identify ourselves with our own body and mind. So we will not go somewhere beyond our body and mind. We will not come to the platform of acting on the platform of soul. We cannot come to the platform of acting on the soul. We will always identify ourselves with our own body and mind. So this contemplation will help you. So this contemplation is what is required. So to really make that small change, whatever is necessary. So or else our habits keep ruling us. Our thoughts will keep ruling us all the time. If we really want to bring this transformation, bring this small change. His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj says that it's very, very difficult to give up habits. So even if you want to make a small change in your habit, so you have to really work hard. So therefore this contemplation is very, very required, very much required to actually make this small change. The small changes will bring transformation. So therefore we have to really work on all these things consciously. So that's the reason this society is called as International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So unless we make these conscious efforts, so we make these conscious attempts to change ourselves, So this transformation will not happen. So it may take years, but we will remain where we are. So that should not happen actually. So this spiritual discussion should actually bring the spiritual association should actually bring the transformation. So we are all transforming. So somehow to a certain extent this transformation is happening subtly, and also we can perceive the transformation. But still, if we want to make a progress on the path of spiritual life, so then we have to make this conscious effort. And also what should we do? This conscious effort, and also take some little bit of an austerity, tapasya. So this is what is required. If we don't take this tapasya, then there is no transformation. Hare Krishna. So anybody has any questions? Pandita Mataji. So tapasya, actually Srila Prabhupada says that in Kali Yuga we cannot take the austerities, tapasya, like people were doing in the bygone ages. Especially in the age of Kali, Srila Prabhupada says that waking up early in the morning in Brahma Muhurta, chanting your rounds, reading his books, and hearing. If we do these three things on a day-to-day basis, that will be considered as tapasya. And fasting on special days like Janmashtami, Ekadashi, and taking little bit of tapasya of chanting extra rounds. So if we can do this on a day-to-day basis in our life, then this is tapasya. This tapasya is sufficient. Yeah, usually when we take a vow to follow certain things in life, then it immediately gets, after few days it again becomes back to square one, again back to normalcy. So that is not a normalcy, that is subnormalcy. So normalcy is when we actually follow the instructions given by the acharyas. We come to our normal state only when we follow the instructions of the acharyas, follow the instruction of Srila Prabhupada. So if we don't follow the instruction of Srila Prabhupada, so then we are actually coming to our normal state of animalistic life. So animalistic life, in the sense we are more interested in these four activities of eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So that is what we actually do on a day-to-day basis. So taking this tapasya, so of chanting 16 rounds, following 4 regulative principles, will actually elevate you to the standard of human form of life. So in the human form of life is actually meant for transformation and stop the process of transmigration. So therefore this transformation, if we want to consciously do this transformation, then we have to follow the words and the instructions of the acharyas. So how we get the help? How we get the help is when we come to the association of devotees. How many of you really feel that when we come to the association of devotees, we are at ease at doing all these 4 activities of spiritual life? Is the Sunday association helping you to follow all this? If you don't come to Sunday association, what will happen? The Maya is just behind us. So Maya will take us into her grips. So if we don't want to be under the grips of Maya, then what we have to do? We have to take the shelter of the association, because association of the devotees is the association of the Lord. If we don't associate with devotees, then Maya is already there. Maya is always there. So we are by default under Maya's shelter. So we have to consciously make the effort of coming to Krishna's shelter. Or else we are all the time in Maya only. So if we don't take the shelter of Krishna, if we don't take the shelter of the association of devotees, so then we are, by default we are in Maya only. There is no doubt. So that's the reason why this consciousness, because we have to make this conscious effort of doing all the spiritual activities. Then at a certain point of time, it becomes natural for us to do. Just like a diseased person. Sayat Krishna Namadi Chirita Sitapte Vidya Pittopatapta Rasanasya Narauchikanu Kintu Adaradunudinam Kaluseve Jushat Swadit Kramadi Bhavati Datkata Mula Hantri. So what is the meaning of the shloka from the Nectar of Instruction? So Nectar of Instruction says that Sayat Krishna Namadi Charita. So to come to the association of devotees, to hear Krishna Katha, to chant the holy names of the Lord is difficult for a conditioned soul in the initial stages. Sayat Krishna Namadi Charita Sitapti Vidya Pittoptatapta Rasanasya Narochikam. Just like a person who is afflicted by jaundice, whatever you give it to him, so it will always taste bitter. ఏదైనా ఇవ్వండి జాండీస్ ఎఫెక్ట్ అయిన పర్సన్కి చేదుగానే ఉంటుంది. సో షుగర్ క్యాండీ ఇస్తే కూడాను చేదుగానే ఉంటుంది, అవునా కాదు? సో ఈవెన్ ఇఫ్ యూ గివ్ హిమ్ షుగర్ క్యాండీ ఇట్ విల్ బి బిటర్. సో బట్ దట్ ఈస్ ది మెడిసిన్. వాట్ ఈస్ ది మెడిసిన్ ఫర్ జాండీస్? టు టేక్ షుగర్ క్యాండీ. So you have to drink sugarcane juice, take sugar candy. By regularly taking sugarcane juice and sugar candy, gradually the disease will reduce. Then he will be able to actually taste the nectar of sugar candy. So similarly, for a conditioned soul in the beginning stages of Krishna consciousness, these activities may feel like tapasya, little difficult, but it will actually give you the cure for the material existence, the disease of material existence. So, kintu adarad anudinam kalu seve jushat. But you have to, how should we take the holy name? How should we do devotional service? Kintu adarad, with awe and reverence. With awe and reverence, what we should do? Kintu adarad anudinam. How should we do this? How should we take this medicine? Adarad anudinam. Anudinam means once in a week, once in a month. Once in a month or once in a week? Every day. Kintu adarad anudinam kalu seve jushat swadit kramadi bhavat tadgata mulahantri. By doing this, what will happen? Just like you take Ayurvedic medicine for a disease, you have to take it every day and at scheduled intervals and by following diet also. So we also follow this. Kintu adarad anudinam kalu seve jushat swadit kramadi tadgata mulahantri. So what will it do for you? So what will this medicine do for you? So just like Ayurvedic medicine, what does it do? It heals the disease from the root. It uproots the disease itself. So similarly, the very cause of your misery in this material world is altogether uprooted by taking this medicine regularly. Kintu adarad anudinam kalu seve jushat swadit kramadi bhavati tadgata mulahantri. Mulahantri means it will cure from the root. So just like Ayurvedic medicine, what will it do? It will cure the disease from the root itself. So similarly, the holy names of the Lord, the devotional service unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will cure the disease of Bhava Roga from the root itself. So which is the source of all anxiety and misery in this material world. Shoka, Moha and Bhaya. So which is the source of material existence in this material world, which is the source of all miseries in this material world, can be uprooted by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Tadgata Mulahantri. From the very root it will. Pandita Mataji? So from the root it should be cured. Right? So therefore, you have to do it anudinam. Kintu adarad anudinam. And it should be done with adarat. Adarat means with care and attention. If you don't do with care and attention, so suppose we don't take medicines, we neglect to take medicines on a day-to-day basis. We don't take at scheduled times. There will be cure, but it will take a longer period. If you want to take a longer period, that is how we have been delaying and taking lifetime after lifetime. Why are we sitting here? Because we have neglected to take the medicine regularly. Kintu adarad anudinam. We are not taking it regularly. So that's the reason we are all sitting here in the Bhagavatam class today. And after 10 years also, and another lifetime also, if we don't take it seriously, kintu adarad anudinam kalu seva jusha. If we don't take it with adarat, then the transformation will not happen. Kintu adarad anudinam kalu seva jusha. So therefore, we should understand what is our predicament. Why are we neglecting it? Why are we not taking it seriously? Because we are not really working on the transformation. We are not really taking it seriously. So our days are numbered here. Our days are counted here. But still we have our own plans of how to be happy in this material world, how to keep our senses happy, how to keep our surroundings happy. So we don't understand that we are all taking false shelters. So we are still happy. So with our own business of life, right? So we are not taking things seriously, right? So this is an opportunity for us to really contemplate that our days are really numbered here. So we are not meant for this. So meant to prolong the suffering on Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika levels. So on the level of the body and the mind, on the level of our miseries from the neighboring living entities, and also our miseries bestowed by the demigods. So we are not meant for this. So we are all meant to be eternally happy. So that happiness can be pursued only when we become healthy. So how can we really experience the taste of sugar candy? When we become healthy. So similarly, when can we really taste Krishna consciousness? So when we all become healthy in Krishna consciousness, when we get rid of this disease of material existence. So the spiritual life actually begins at the point of liberation. Liberation in the sense, liberation from these material miseries. So, Swadit Kramadit Tadgata Mulahantri. So we will all be cured of this disease of material existence by taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, the holy name, the association of devotees. So then what are the other two? By residing in the Dham and chanting the holy names. So these 5 potent forms of devotional service, everybody should actually take care of these 5 potent forms of devotional service, which is reading Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting the holy names of the Lord, residing in Dham, then deity worship, then Vaishnava Seva. So all these things can happen only when you come to the association of devotees. Without coming to the association of devotees, don't expect any transformation.
Staying in holy dham is not possible for everyone.
So this is Holy Dham, staying in the association of devotees, where we discuss Krishna Katha. So we can stay in the Holy Dham. Many people are staying who are not devotees. So they'll be witnessing, they'll be watching cricket match, they'll be watching filmy songs. So actual Dhamma Vasa will happen when we stay in the company of devotees and discuss Krishna Katha. If we don't discuss Krishna Katha, then it is not association. Hare Krishna. So any other doubts? Any other questions? Chaturmasya next week. So now the time is almost 10:30. So today is Ekadashi. You can all have prasadam. So Ekadashi prasadam is prepared by our devotees. So Bharat Prabhu and team, they are taking special efforts every week to give us nice Krishna prasadam. So this is all a part of spiritual life. To have nice Krishna Katha, Krishna prasadam, chanting the holy names, staying in the association of devotees, chanting, dancing and glorifying the Lord. Right? So let us all blissfully perform Krishna consciousness. So we can make these efforts to come little early. It will be very, very helpful for us to associate with devotees and do some seva for the Lord and the devotees. Okay. So anybody has any doubts, questions? Else we'll conclude the class for the day. Gratra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.